Senso. And then the big lot here went to St. Helens for $3 and a bit million. For $3 and a bit million, and then
Oh my God!
we talked to people who were like, just buy it back.
This is all. This whole area is still operating under a special policy area, even though we know climate change is real, even though we know rains are getting worse, even though we know flooding in this neighborhood is getting worse. The special policy area that made it possible for this land to be developed, where in other parts of the province, and this is really important, in other parts of the province this wouldn't be allowed to happen. In other parts of the province that are operating under current provincial standards, this wouldn't be allowed to happen. So on the one hand, it's frustrating that we're dealing with policy that is very outdated. On the other hand, it's frustrating that this was public land and there was no consultation. That was probably the most frustrating, and by no lack of civic engagement by the neighbors either. We had residents associations. Darsha's not here, but even
her husband is here. In 2016, when they first started to build temporary buildings along the side of Terry Drive, they're inside further Rockcliffe Court. The landscaping businesses which were leasing their properties, they consulted a little bit with Terry Drive and promised them a wall to cut down on the noise and the dust. Ping also lives there. She can tell you about the history. And they were told that if they supported the severance of the land, that's the only way the noise and the dust would stop and they'd get their wall. That's what they were told. And they have email by email messages from 2016 that speaks to that. So we have that documentation. Darsha's not here with it, but we had
mention of St. Helens.
Made no mention of St. Helens, talked about Senso. We had those documents, the mayor had those documents, our councillor has those documents, that's who we were corresponding with. And yet they tried to say that nobody opposed anything being built there. Well, of course you're not going to tell the whole community. They told people whose primary language is not English along that street, most of them, and they told people who were very marginalized to start off with. So 100 residents knew something, but they weren't told about St. Helens, and they were told the only way to stop the dust and noise is to build a wall, and they had to build a wall when they owned the land. So that's the story they were fed.
Okay, and I'll just make one other comment without trying to point fingers at anybody, because these things have been known to happen. But under the Planning Act, when someone applies for a consent application, they have to go through Committee of Adjustment. And the Committee of Adjustment is only allowed, or they're only to send out notices to people within a 60-meter radius. That is the minimum standard that they have to meet. Now, as a representative, if there's any concern about what the potential use of the property might be, then one can go to Committee of Adjustment and ask for either a deferral or to consult with a wider group of people that might be impacted. I mean, in other words, this kind of a thing has to be addressed at a very early stage. And
You get one chance.
and nobody knew about it simply because the 60-meter radius probably didn't catch anybody of
It
any.
was treated like someone was building a garage in their backyard.
Yeah.
When it actually isn't. It's a very large piece of land, and it's a piece of land that's in the floodplain. And like Kiara said, it's a piece of land that is subject to a special policy that is hugely outdated.
Yeah, and
Plus it's got all the traffic.
there's two things. First of all, the other thing is I'm surprised it happened in 2017. I would be probably a little less surprised if this happened during an election period, because during election periods, every time there's an election, during the time when council is not meeting and the politicians are, basically out there doing other things, that's when things kind of creep through the cracks. That's when applicants manage to do things that it happens all the time.
But the applicant was
And I've had it happen to me before I got elected, because I got elected in 2000 and I said a similar site like this, who the heck ever approved this?
Did you live near
In
that?
other words, if I had been elected now, I might say, and this thing was already a done deal, Kiara, which it seems that it is a done deal already, I would say, how the heck did it happen? And it can only happen by somebody allows it to happen. Okay. And
Frank, I can tell you how it happened. I can tell you how it happened. It happened in 2006. Nobody at City Council said, hey, maybe we shouldn't declare this surplus land. This is in the middle of a floodplain in an area that is always devastated by flooding. So we were failed by City Council in 2006 when it was declared surplus land.
Everybody.
Not a single councillor said, maybe we shouldn't declare floodplain surplus land. Maybe we shouldn't sell those off. In 2007, when it was put up for sale, we were failed by city council because, again, not one city councilor said, maybe this is a bad idea. And then in 2017, when it was severed for sale, with the support of our councilor, nobody said maybe this is a bad idea. But we have been failed over and over and over again by our city officials. You know, we can't leave it up to residents to just be, even though we have had residents do this, and I'm so encouraged by the residents who have been doing this, but we can't leave them up to residents to be able to have the time and the energy and the know-how and the language to understand what these things mean. We just can't. It's up to our city council to know that, and we were failed by them 3 times.
That's
Okay,
right.
I'm just
That's
going
right.
to stop for 1 second.
What about the
I'm just
CRCA
gonna, sorry,
thing?
I'm going to talk. Yeah, I was just